The sun radiates energy that plants use to grow. When they die, plants start to rot, decompose, decay away. Rotting may sound bad, but actually it's an all-natural way to return energy to the ecosystem, and without it, the remains of everything that ever lived would crowd us off the planet. When things have gotten rotten, it's thanks to decomposers, microbes, worms, and other invertebrates. These creatures help recycle energy and nutrients. In nature, very little goes to waste. People, on the other hand, make tons of garbage. Recycling paper, cans, and bottles is one way to reduce garbage. Another way is composting. Yard waste is a perfect candidate for the compost bin. So are kitchen scraps. Most people collect kitchen fruit and vegetable scraps in some sort of bucket and periodically dump it into a bin or pile outside. When organic materials rot, they take up much less space and turn into nutrient-rich humus. Things can turn rotten just about anywhere. Cold temperature slows down decay, but doesn't stop it.
Today we're going to get into the compost pile, find out what actually makes it tick. Why does it work like it does? Why do you put a bunch of what appears to be garbage to you in? 1 month later, we've got some nice soil we can use to plant plants in. Why does it work?
A compost bin is a way to control decay.
Who would have thought at the end of the year you'd be sticking your hands in the middle of rot? Oh!
Composting works best with a combination of carbon-rich plant materials, which tend to be dry and brown, and nitrogen-rich materials, which are usually green and juicy. Together, they're a balanced diet for the creatures that thrive on compost.
The organisms that break the materials down in our bucket need air, so we're going to put holes in the bucket so they can breathe.
Without good air circulation, compost can get sort of slimy, which is something to avoid.
Please don't forget to give me a description. You open it up, what does it look like? It's covered with mold on the surface. It looks dry. Remember, compost, if it's working, shouldn't smell. It should smell like dirt. Yeah, remember, if you open it up and you see something crawling around in there, macroorganism, record it.
Composting is practically automatic, thanks to a zoo of hardworking little creatures called decomposers.
Oh, it's got legs.
Organic stuff rots because it's broken down by feasting decomposers.
If the composting is working, you're going to have a section that's going to be nice and uniform. It's just going to be brown and it's all going to be mixed together real nice.
A core sample is a slice of life from compost. It's a good way to get the inside story on a compost bin.
If you see a worm, if you see an organism, then record it.
Decomposers demand very little, just food, air, and moisture. The menagerie of life forms turns organic waste into dark, rich humus that gardeners love. Big cities have lots to offer, including different sources for compostable waste. Compost can help turn a vacant lot into an oasis. Some neighborhoods work together to grow community gardens.
Where do you get the manure from?
From the police stables. They get bags, a lot of bags. They give it out. So, you know, manure, you don't want to keep manure.
And it's manure mixed with the bedding material, so it's already mixed with wood chips or straw.
Collecting horse manure for a compost pile turns a problem into a solution. An experiment can help sort out which mix of organic wastes will rot best. Wood chips have lots of carbon. Horse manure, lots of nitrogen. Carrot scraps are high in nitrogen too. Mix them together and get ready for a rot riot. Decomposers need fresh air to do their work, and different compost bins have different schemes to keep air flowing. Worms help out by opening up airways as they burrow through soil. Worms are among the most important of the decomposer organisms.
You know that worms are good for compost? When they move around the compost bin, they leave holes.
The worms have been reproducing?
They're
Really?
reproducing like crazy.
Just stick it
In here. Yeah, here, come here, try it.
Coming out of nowhere.
See,
Red, tell you.
these are actually the eggs over here, if you want to see.
They look like lizard eggs, or smaller.
Plant materials usually have millions of microorganisms already living on them. But to jumpstart a new bin, it's a good idea to add finished compost, which has a slew of decomposer microorganisms ready to help break down plant materials.
We're going to make a bioreactor out of a soda bottle. This is the 2-liter bottle with the top cut off and the holes in the bottom. And that'll give you something to set the compost on, and at the same time gives you a little place for leachate, or the liquid, to come out, and also gives you air holes. Okay, so aeration will be constant.
A bioreactor can be used in controlled experiments on the composting process. There are lots of recipes for rotting, and some work better than others. Insulation helps seal in the heat given off by decomposers. As decomposers munch away on food scraps and each other, they give off heat energy, and the compost starts to cook.
And it feels warm on the outside.
Some like it hot, I think. Go up to 90 degrees.
Eventually, the party's over, and the compost cools down. The decomposers have done all they can without more food, water, or air.
Build it up all the way.
Good record keeping is an important part of a scientific experiment. When compost is working well, it can heat to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 60 degrees Celsius.
You know, we could do a graph of the outside temperature versus the compost temperature also.
You got 90, 72, 98, 76.
It takes time to enter data, but computers make it easy to see your results.
You want to take a sample from up here, about halfway down, then 3/4 way down, then from the bottom, and look at it under the microscope.
Some decomposers are plenty big enough to see with the naked eye, but many are microscopically small. A slurry of water and compost put on a slide lets you peer into the tiny world of composting microorganisms. Just a teaspoon of active compost contains billions of bacteria and one-celled protozoa swimming around in their own little universe. These microscopic decomposers typically spend their lives in a film of water that surrounds moist plant debris. Protozoa often have tiny hairs, called cilia, that wriggle in coordinated waves. That's how protozoa swim around, and also how they swish tiny bacteria into their tiny mouths.
It's perfectly clear. You can see the digestive system. If you look at this, you can see right through it.
Nematodes are very small worms that live by the millions in compost bins. One rotten apple might contain 100,000 nematodes. Some nematodes eat plant material, and others have a craving for bacteria, protozoa, or even other nematodes.
Is it a red light?
He's on his back.
Is it good so everybody can see him?
A working compost pile is teeming with larger invertebrates.
He's moving, man. This thing's not dead.
Let me get you a petri dish.
Look at him.
Although most invertebrates are visible by eye, a low-powered microscope is a great way to zoom into some detail.
Do you see it moving?
No. Okay. Similar. Wow, you've got tons of things going on in here.
Oh, wow.
These are some happy critters. Look at this.
Look. That clear thing.
100 mites would fit on your fingertip, if you were so inclined. Some mites scavenge on leaves and plant materials, but others are predators, feeding on nematodes and other insects. Mites, like their relatives the spider, have 8 legs.
Got some stuff?
Ew, yeah.
Is that why you were going ew? Because you found something?
Yeah, look.
Look at it, Jim. Look.
I mean,
All right, but here, there's more in here.
Some decomposers have more than 8 legs.
There's too many. We're overwhelmed. It's a zoo. What do you got?
Millipedes, which are usually big enough to see without magnification, eat rotting plant material, but occasionally enjoy dead insects.
They're still worm-like. They're just more clear.
Look like maggots.
Could be.
Maggots are fly larvae. They feast on all kinds of rotting debris, including compost.
Let me see again.
The centipede is a speedy hunter with sharp pincers that inject prey with a paralyzing poison. After a meal, the tidy centipede cleans itself thoroughly.
Oh, wait, here you go. Yeah, look.
Did you look at it already?
Another poisonous predator in the compost pile is the tiny pseudoscorpion, which is about the size of a mite. The pseudoscorpion can't see or hear, but it can sense the smell and the vibrations of moving prey. Most caterpillars prefer to eat green leaves, but those living in a compost pile consume dead plant material.
Mark, is this one like yours?
The rove beetle is visible without magnification. It uses its piercing mouthparts to catch and kill other small invertebrates. There are all kinds of worms in the compost pile.
Oh, God.
They plow on through, ingesting, digesting, and reshaping organic debris. As organic material winds through the worm's digestive system, it's ground up and broken down until it passes out of the worm, rich in minerals. Tiny land snails, the size of a fingertip, are never far from the shelter of their elegant homes. Snails feed on plant debris, while peering around with eyes on the ends of tentacles. Snails glide along on a slime track of mucus.
Look at that. I just blew it up. Oh, I found it. There he is.
It's really big.
Anyone want to see him perfectly?
Springtails are barely visible without magnification. They feed on decomposing plant debris, nematodes, and insect droppings. Springtails and sowbugs are the descendants of some of the earliest land-dwelling animals on Earth. They have survived relatively unchanged for millions of years and have perfected the art of decay. A compost pile dishes up the kind of food that ants prefer: kitchen scraps, seeds, and other insects.
What do his mouth parts look like? You want to put him in the food web. What do his mouth parts look like? Like that? You got little pinches?
The writhing collection of microorganisms and invertebrates that live in a compost pile makes up what scientists call a food web. Organic debris at the base of the food web provides a feast for decomposers, supplying them with energy to live, grow, and reproduce. The tiny microorganisms and larger invertebrates that eat organic debris are at the primary level of the food web. Above them, at the secondary level of the food web, are the protozoa and invertebrates that eat the first level decomposers. Secondary level decomposers, in turn, are eaten by the decomposers at the top of the food web. It's a natural and efficient system of recycling that quickly reduces organic waste to useful humus. Finished compost is brown, crumbly, and full of nutrients. It has the fresh, clean scent of the earth itself. This humus provides raw materials for a new generation of plants.
Hold on to it. Just separate it.
The cycle repeats as energy radiated by the sun becomes available to support new life and helps turn a vacant lot into a garden paradise.